Hey everyone, for the past few months I've gotten a lot of requests on my config, my sensitivity, and everything related to CS and aiming in general. So the last few weeks I've started compiling a lot of information to make one big detailed guide on how to aim in CSGO, but a lot of these principles will also apply in other games. So a little introduction for the people that don't know me yet. I'm Valky. I'm a global elite in CS. I've recently decayed because I took a long break, and I'm already back to LEM, bordering on Supreme, so I'm probably gonna get back to global soon and upload a video about that. I have about 3k hours in CS, but not only do I play CSGO, I play a bunch of other shooters. I have like 2000 hours in PUBG. I also play Modern Warfare, sometimes I play Apex Legends. So I thought, why don't I collect all the information that I've read through my years of improving my aim and make it into one big video for you guys. So that's what I'm gonna do. So there's going to be several topics I'm going to be covering in this video. First I'm going to talk about your mouse pad, DPI, which one's better, 400, 800, does it even matter? I'll show you some sensitivity ranges of professional players. I'm going to show you how you can find your sensitivity the best in-game. Then I'm going to go over why you should stick to your sensitivity after you've chosen one you're comfortable with. I'm going to go over some muscle memory training routines in different maps. I'm going to show you all the workshop maps I use and that most pros use. Then I'm going to go over some warm-ups, some DMs, some retakes, offline maps, and all that stuff that you can do. I'm going to go over crosshair placement, or how you can convert your sensitivity from CS to other games or from other games to CSGO, so you can, stick to the same sensitivity muscle memory. I'm going to go a little bit over spraying, bursting, recoil control, prefiring and strafing, and that's going to sum it up for this video. So if you want to watch only one specific part, I'm going to link timestamps to every single topic in the description and in the comments. And if you want to watch the whole video, then get started. So a lot of professional players play on 400 DPI. It is by far the most used DPI in the CSGO pro scene. And when asked about it, a lot of pros that come from 1.6 and the earlier CS versions just say they're used to it, so they stuck with it. Which I can understand 100%. It's very good to stick to the same DPI and mouse sensitivity once you find the correct one. But there's recently been a lot of videos about pixel skipping and all that stuff. And what pixel skipping basically is that a low DPI in combination with a low sensitivity can cause your crosshair to skip a couple of pixels. 3clicks Philip has a video about it as well, where he says it's not that big of an issue in CSGO, but it's definitely there. So it could also just be a placebo for a lot of people. So if you play on 400 DPI, it's no big deal. If you play on 800 DPI, you pretty much eliminate that problem if you play on a low sensitivity. So that's very good. So yeah, if you are worried about things like pixel skipping, watch a video about 3clicks Philip, all that stuff, and figure out for yourself if it's important for you and change to 800 DPI. And if you want to be like the pro players, you can go to 400 DPI. But if you haven't found your right sensitivity yet, I would definitely recommend going to 800 DPI. Anything above it just seems overkill for me. Your mouse on your desktop will move far faster than your cursor in-game will be. So it just feels unnatural to go from your Windows desktop back to CSGO. There's also this Overwatch DPI tool made by some person. It's about pixel skipping, where you can enter your DPI basically and your in-game sensitivity, and the blue boxes mean like there's no pixel skipping and the red boxes mean there is pixel skipping. So for my centimeter per 360, which is 49 point something, you can see it has no pixel skipping on 800 DPI. Were I to change this to 7 and 400, it would have pixel skipping. That's kind of how I figured it out back in the day, and maybe it's just a placebo, but it got in my head. When it comes to mice, what is really important is that you choose something that is comfortable in your hand. Same goes for your mousepad. If you have a very small mousepad, playing CSGO will be hard because in CSGO, arm aiming is more important than wrist aiming, and you're generally going to have a lower sensitivity and a lower centimeter per 360 than if you were playing a game like, for example, Call of Duty or Overwatch, which is a lot more fast-paced. So as long as you get a brand mouse or just any mouse that isn't like a cheap $10 mouse at a local store, you're probably going to have a good sensor. And as long as you stick to the native DPI selections of those mouse, so you go 400, 800, 1200, and you don't just make up a random sensitivity, because that can sometimes cause issues, as far as I heard. So yeah, as long as you have a decent sized mousepad and a good laser mouse, you're good to go for CS. If you want to know what mouse your favorite player uses, you can go to the CSGO Pro settings and gear list website, and you can see per player right here what mouse they use. You can sort it by team, so it's easier to find your player, for example. And you can see here what mice they use. You can see what keyboard and what headset they use. So the most common mouse or the most common mice in CSGO are the Zowie, the Logitech G Pro Wireless, which is the one I have. I just got it because I wanted to try a wireless mouse and it feels good in my hand. But yeah, for a mice, in my opinion, none of this is important which one of these you get, as long as you get one that feels comfortable in your hand. So let's move on. So how do you change your DPI, your polling rate and all that stuff? Pretty basic. Every single mouse has a software that comes with it, definitely the brand ones, Logitech, Zowie, SteelSeries, Razer, all that stuff. So mine is the Logitech G Hub. I come over here in the left corner for Sense. I can change my DPI speeds. As you can see, the underlined is my speed, it's 800. You can do a DPI shift button to quickly toggle another speed. Please don't ever use a DPI switch. Ever. And when you come down here, choose the highest polling rate for your mouse. There's no point choosing lower. If you have a reason why you should change it to 125 instead of 1000, please let me know, because I wouldn't know. But yeah, that's basically it. So if we take a look at the Pro Settings website, we can see that the average EDPI of CSGO Pros is 883. And what this means is DPI multiplied by in-game sensitivity. And this is actually not surprising at all, because some of the most common sensitivities for 400 DPI are 2.2 and 2, and for 800 DPI 1 and 1.1, which is the same thing. So 1.1 being one of the most used ones, and that 1.1 would be 880 DPI, so it's pretty close. But there's obviously a lot of variation with players and how they play. So let's take a look at some prime examples. First extreme example that I can think of is Nico. He plays at an extremely low EDPI of 580. He plays at 400 DPI and 1.45 sensitivity in game. There's actually people that play at 800 DPI and 1.45 sensitivity in this game, which is kind of crazy because it's double his sense. Nico is one of the prime examples of a low sense player, and he has some really sick aim to go with it. Another prime example on the opposite end of the spectrum is Simple. He plays at 400 DPI and 3.09 sensitivity. His EDPI is 1236 and therefore more than double Nico's sensitivity, and he's known currently to be the best player in the world. So those two extremes just show you that an EDPI anywhere between Nico's and Simple's can definitely work for you. But these two are definitely extremes. I rarely see people that can work with that low of a sense and that high of a sense. A few more normal sensitivity players are, for example, Zaiwu. He's also known as one of the best players and might even take Simple's spot. His DPI is 400 and sense 2, making it 800 EDPI. Another good example is Device, one of the best players in the world. EDPI of 800. Then we have some of the French players that we know are known for their crazy aim sometimes, where Shock plays on 900 EDPI, Kenny S on 880, and Scream, who is not as relevant anymore, but he plays at 1000 EDPI, and he's known as the headshot machine. So in order to find your sensitivity, there's loads of videos about this, but it's still one of my favorite spots. It's either this or a video I had in the past in Nuke that you can check out if you prefer that spot. But we're gonna go over this spot because it's the most common one. And you shoot a tiny little circle in the wall. Oh my god, it's off center. Okay, we're good. So, but a lot of people just like kind of move while tracking this on the long edges, like the long strafes like this, to see if they can stay in. But you need to move forward and you need to check all your ranges and see if you can keep up with this sense. So basically what you do is you shoot this circle, and you can start with shift if it's too fast in the beginning. You can shift with your knife or your gun, and you just track. And it's okay if you sometimes don't stay inside of it. But like a good indication on if your sense is too fast. Oh man. Is if you constantly overshoot like this. Like as you can see, I'm very shaky at this sense. It's way higher than my sense. Whereas if I go to like something crazy like 0.8, I'm gonna have to really keep up to get to that dot. Whereas if I play on my own sense, which is 1.05 and 800 DPI, I can pretty much stay inside the circle the whole time. Once you've already gone through this, you can speed it up by running with your gun. You can try to get closer. You don't have to stay perfectly in it, as long as you're comfortable tracking this. Like that. And if you want to speed it up, you can also run and try to track it with your knife. As long as you stay in the general area, it will never be perfect, and it doesn't have to be. Move closer. You're right up in there. And see what works for you. It doesn't have to be perfect. There is no such thing as a perfect sensitivity. I don't believe there's one sensitivity if you change to that, oh wow, this is the best for you. But I do believe you have a range of dexterity with your hand in which you need to stick. So whatever is comfortable with you, what I would suggest is if you have 800 DPI, is that you start with 1, and with 400 you start with 2. And just see if you can comfortably like make a 180. If you can do that, then you're fine. You don't need to control your complete 360 degrees. And in the beginning it might look a lot like this, or just not quite reaching it. You don't have to know exactly hit that spot. But either way, it's just about what's most comfortable for you, and if you can kind of keep up with this area, you know? And if you can, then you need to stick with that and start building muscle memory. And that's the part that's important. Like I said before, I don't believe there's a perfect sense. I believe you need to work with your dexterity. So start with 1, if you're on 800 DPI, and move up by increments of... So you start with 1, and then you go to like 1.05, 1.1, 1.15, 1.2, or if it's too fast, 0.95, 0.9, 0.85, and you just see what's better for you. And whatever turns out to feel the most comfortable while tracking on this wall, you stick with that and you start building muscle memory. Because I could probably change my sense to something crazy like 1.2 and still be fairly confident with this dot on the wall. It won't be as good as my own sense, but it will be decent. And that's why people that change their sensitivity after every game by a bit up or down sometimes even do better. Because if you change your sensitivity a lot, you haven't built the muscle memory to... You haven't built the muscle memory to like flick to a certain spot. So if, for example, I have muscle memory for my sense. So if I stand here and I want to flick this window, I can do that by just looking at the window. I'm at the window. I'm at the window. You see? Because I have muscle memory for this. if I want to aim at this lamp on the right. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I have already built muscle memory for my mouse. And that's what's important, building muscle memory for your sensitivity. So let's get into some drills. So there's several maps I like to use for the muscle memory drills. The most used by professional players is this Botz map. I'm going to link every single link to the workshops in the description. So the most common is the Botz one. Training aim CSGO is used often. Fast aim reflex, there's 2 versions of it, but the gray one usually breaks for me if I play Botz first, so I go with this one. And there's the Recoil master. So let's get started with Botz. So first of all, when you get into this arena, there's a lot of options and it's a bit overwhelming. On the left there's a metronome, which I'm not going to activate because I know it can cause epileptical seizures for some people, but it's like, you know, the quick clicking dots so you can do something on the timing. This HUD stuff I never really use, blah 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 blah. This option right here is for if you want to shoot moving targets, like this. You can make them AD and then try to like stick to their head. Over here is the Botz challenge. I like to use the 90 degrees wall when I practice. So you just click on this, it will automatically start getting these walls up. And it will start these bots right here. If you click on play, you can kill 100 bots. But you can also, when you're done, click on this lock on the roof. Untick this challenge, it will keep the walls up, and choose 500, 2000, whatever, how many kills, oh wow. 2000, however many kills you want. And you can do exercises with this. So what I prefer to do is I start with these walls up here, and I get 200 kills first. So the first 200 things I will do, I will move extremely slow from head to head, however long it takes me to be 100% accurate. I see this as learning an instrument. I learned to play the guitar and when I was younger, and I could never play the song at full speed at first. I had to go slow, and then once I got all the parts, I could go faster and faster and faster and faster. And it's the same with aiming, in my opinion. And after I do 200 of these slow ones, I will do 200 what I call like, I call it semi-flicks, because it's not really a flick. It's like, I will try to flick onto his head, you see? But I won't shoot, because I want to make sure I'm on his head and then pull the trigger. I want to make sure I'm on his head and then pull the trigger. And then if I want to flick to this guy, for example, and I miss a bit, so let's say I'm going to go here, I want to micro correct to his head and then shoot. I want to micro correct, micro correct, micro correct. And I do that 200 times. And sometimes I throw in like real flicks. Like that. And see how good I do with the real flicks. But I don't do that all the time. It's just like sometimes I just want to test. Then after I've done 200 slows and 200 like semi-flicks, I honestly don't know what to call it. I move on to doing the challenge right here. So that's just getting 100 kills as fast as possible. There's a leaderboard somewhere. Somewhere here. Yeah, so you can see like, oh, pro player scores, like how much time did they get? Like Shroud got a minute, MBK got 47 seconds, blah blah blah. So like, that is how fast you can kill the 100 bots right here. And you just do it as fast as possible. And that's basically it. Then I also want to train my opping sometimes. So what I do for the op is I will click on this 360 challenge right here. and then I will go 200 frags, grab the op. First I have to get rid of these bots because they're gonna stay in the same place, so just kill them for activating and get them all cleaned up so they're around. And then I do the same with ops. I do the thing that I call semi-flick, flick to the body, flick to the body, flick to the body, flick to the body, and I won't pull the trigger. And then after I've done that, I will actually go for flicks. I will see how good I can do that. So I do that like... But if you've never done this before, I would recommend doing like 25 kills, really slow. Then 25 kills like semi-flicking. And then like 25 kills like really flicking. And then both sides. So in total you have 150 kills, which is not a lot. So if I had to make like a training routine for a complete beginner in this arena, 200 kills slow with the AK, 200 kills the semi-flick thing I told you about where you micro correct before you shoot. Then I do 200 of the challenge to see how fast you can go, where you want to focus on accuracy but also speed to see how much you've improved. And then I'd come here and I'd do 150 or 200 op kills. So if you do 200 op, I would go slow 25 times left, slow 25 times right, and then micro flick, and then semi flick 25 times left, 25 times right, and do 50 real flicks left and 50 real flicks right. And don't go for something crazy like that bot over there, not in the beginning anyways, because you won't always hit that shot, or that bot over there. Just go for like more simple flicks like this, or like you can even make it smaller like that. It just know what your level is at and do that. So yeah, okay, that was the first map on aimbots. So now we're loading up the reflex maps, the fast aim reflex map. And sometimes this map will bug out when you've played aimbots first, and it will like kick you in as a terrorist. So you just choose team, click on CT, and then type MP restart game 1, and it will just restart. If you look up here, you can select different weapons. I like to just keep standing here because it will make the bots travel to you in a circle around you. So if you look here, they're gonna try and walk towards you. So if you start shooting, it will activate them, and you can see they'll try to run in here. So I like this because it's like you can try to flick as they come close. Before they fall in. So that's basically like what I like to do, but you can also just spin around and just like kill them while they're running to you. You can do sprays, you can do taps. You can do spray transfers. Whatever you feel like training. And I usually do this for like 10 minutes or 500 kills, which is about the same idea. So this map is training aim CSGO dark. I like it dark because the light one literally gives me a headache. Over here you can choose your weapon. By the way, if by any chance you're moving too fast, or you're switching weapons too fast, or the time up above goes too fast, it could be that you have too high FPS, or if you use FPS max 0, it will change the time scaler and it'll go too fast. So change it to 999 and the problem should be gone. It's a really weird problem I had. Anyways, over here in the beginning, just leave size at 12. I like color white, I don't know why. Amount 100. I like to do delay 0.25 and static duration 0.5, which makes the targets appear this fast. And then I go to level 2 or level 3 and just start the challenge and just kill these targets. So you can either go to level 2 and click on start and just start shooting them, or you can go to level 3. I wouldn't really go level 4 or 1. If you're very new to CS, I would start with a delay of like 1 or 0.75 because this might be too fast for you in the beginning. I don't use this as much anymore because I don't have as much time to do all the other things, but this was definitely very helpful. At a certain point, I started averaging on with these settings 0.5, 0.25, and 100. At level 2, I would average about 88. Every time I did it, I would go 88, 90, 92, 93, and around like 86 for level 3 because it's a bit further. So I just felt like I could have gone down in size, but I don't know, it just felt like a bit overkill to do too much training. But yeah, this is definitely a good map that you could check out. Additionally, there's another very good mode for this, which is intensive fast aiming. You can go like 0.5, target limit 7, go to level 2, and just, you have to kill like the dots that come up, and then when they reach 7, it will be game over. So you can just kill these dots, and it won't stop until it reaches 7 targets, basically. So that's also a nice mode that you can do. And pretty much that's it. I don't really do anything else on this map. Let's get into another map. So for this example on when to tap, burst, and spray, I've come to long and I've placed 3 targets in an area. So the longest target is when you want a single fire tap in his head. Just single taps. So you're in the pit and you just tap on his head. The second target you want to burst, which is like a few bullets, very centered. So you just kill him like that. Whereas if you come around these long doors over here, and the target is right here, you want to full on spray the target. That's kind of the idea of the range. So if they're like really close to you, up to this range, then you want to spray. If they're like peeking at the elevator right here, you can do burst. And when they're really long range, you can do taps. If you're struggling with recoil control, you can come to the recoil master map. You can turn off the ghost stare or turn it on, doesn't matter. I like T-target and to turn it off. And here you can see the spray pattern of the AK. So it's like down, a bit to left, and like right. It's like that's not perfect, it's 80%. But you can make the target further away, you can make it closer. And you can do the same with an M4. Just see how good your spray is. And you can practice it, like if you're really bad at spraying, you could do like 20 sprays a day with the M4, 20 sprays a day with the AK, and that should solve your problem of spraying. When it comes to strafing, I've seen a video with Nothing about it where he said in, I think 1.6, he teaches students to shoot 2 dots at a wall and then just strafe back and forth and see if they could keep all 10 bullets exactly here. And I really respect Nothing as a player. I think he's amazing, so if you want to check that out, you can do it. There's also something you can do in aim bots, which is just do 200 bots while you're strafing, and I will show you a video of that, where you can, you know, practice strafing while killing actual bots. So strafing is definitely important, and your movement is as well. Prefiring is if you were to know that there was a target right here, and you're going to come around the corner and try to prefire it. Like that. It also requires some knowledge of strafing, as you can see I'm strafing, so that you don't hit the wall right here. And there's actually some good maps to practice this, and to practice crosshair placement. So before we move to the pre-firing maps, I want to talk about crosshair placement. In general, you don't want to walk like this. It's a very noob mistake, or just like not look at anything, like you're not looking at anything. You want to have your crosshair aimed at about headshot height, or you can even go a bit lower at their neck. So when you clear corners and someone were to show up, if someone were to be sitting like right here around the staircase, you get ready for their headshot angle. If you're about to peek mid, you're ready for their headshot angle. Or in lower tunnels, so that you're always ready to shoot immediately, which will reduce delays. Right here in the box. But crosshair placement is incredibly important, because if you have bad crosshair placement, it's going to take you longer and more reaction time and more, you know, muscle memory for flicks to actually flick to that position. Like, if I were pre-aiming this area and someone were to show up, that would be way faster for me to get that kill. Whereas if I'm just aiming at random things, I'd have to actually flick to that spot, which would take me extra time, and I'd probably be dead by then. So now let's take a look at some of the Prefire maps. So pretty much these Ypraac maps come for every single map in the competitive map pool. You can practice smokes, fires, flashes. But what I want to talk about is Prefire practice. Because this kind of map will help you with knowing 1. Where the CTs are most common to stand. 2. How to pre-fire, and 3. Crosshair placement. Very important things. And for strafing, technically, because if you're pre-firing like this, you need to strafe for it. So basically, you can see the line where you have to go, and these lines are where the bots are standing. So you can learn some very common pre-fire angles on where the bots will be standing. Like here at the triple box, in CT spawn, right in this corner, then there's this headshot angle. You know, you can do all of that. So I really like these maps. You can even learn the wallbang spots because of that. But I really like these maps because they teach you where to look, how to pre-fire, and all of that stuff. So it's actually really useful to do these. You can even, you know, use flashes and all that stuff to like practice that at the same time. But this gives you a really good indication of where to look for the enemy and where to place your crosshair. And you can click on next and you can go everywhere. You can go B apps, and you can do this for every map to learn the common positions and learn how to pre-fire. Which is, you know, it's very useful. So definitely take a look at those. What I like to do for Warmup is play a bunch of deathmatch. As I've mentioned before, I will try to get 100 kills AK, 100 kills USB, 100 kills op, and just play around a bit, get warmed up aim. Sometimes I play retake maps or executes, and I think that's a very nice warm-up. You could also just go into the Reflex map and kill about 500 bots. That would also suffice for a warm-up. The difference between a muscle memory training drill and a warm-up is that in a muscle memory training drill, you're trying to do things as slow as possible. You're trying to learn a technique in order to become better at the game. Whereas in a deathmatch, you're applying the technique that you've learned against actual players to improve. So let's take a look at the community server list, how to find some servers, and let's take a look at what a retake server is. So I prefer using the community browser for finding retake servers, for finding deathmatch servers, warm-up servers, pistol deathmatch, all that kind of stuff, because I don't like the deathmatch servers from CS itself. It's limited, it's only one team, there's weird people, there's cheaters sometimes, it's just weird. And it's 64 tick, so if you prefer 128 tick, come over here. Also, if you want to do 128 tick in your workshop maps, add this tick rate 128 to your launch commands. So, once we're here, you can find deathmatch servers. You can just type DM, you'll pretty much find here World Deathmatch, pistols, only pistols, deathmatch, headshot mod, or you can type retake, and you'll find a bunch of retake servers, execute servers. These retake servers, for example, Mirage. Let's take a look at a retake server. So now we're on a retake server. I'm starting at CT. Round starts with bomb being planted, and you retake or defend if you're T the bomb. You know, depending on what role you are, you can practice your nades and all that stuff. And then you defuse the bomb when everyone's dead. And then when you're T, the roles are reversed and you're the one defending. So a last thing I want to talk about is consistency and muscle memory in multiple games. I like to have the same 360 distance on every single shooter game or just any game that I play for the most consistency. And what this means is how many centimeters or inches you have to move your mouse in order to make a 360-degree turn. I use this mouse sensitivity website. I sometimes pay for it because some games aren't free, like PUBG, but there's a lot of free converters like this one. This is like an Overwatch converter, for example. You fill in your Overwatch sensitivity, fill in your Mouse DPI, and you get your centimeter per 360, inches per 360, and you get your Overwatch sense. And then this website is just a little bit more advanced. I use it for multiple games. You can convert from CSGO by filling in CSGO. You have your sensitivity on the left, your DPI here. FOV is always 90 unless you don't play a different resolution. If you play 1920 by 1080, your FOV, your horizontal FOV is actually 106.26. But if you play like stretched, it is 90. So you just fill that in, you pick any game, say Overwatch, and you enter your FOV, your resolution there, and you get your same inches per 360, or you can change it centimeters per 360. And I like that for consistency in all my games. So like Call of Duty came out, and Call of Duty has the same sense as Overwatch. So I just copied that, same as my CSGO aim, and I could pretty much start playing Call of Duty, and it felt almost like I had my CSGO aim in that game. So I think that's very important. If you don't, then it's up to you. I just like consistency across all games. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope everything that I said was useful, or at least some part of what you watched was useful. I know it was a very long video. I've been working on it for literally weeks because I wanted to give something back for you know, all the views and the subs that you guys have given me. And I really hope that it will help some of you improve. I've seen a lot of messages after my videos that people said they increased in rank and all that, and it just makes me really happy that I can somehow help even as little as a community as we have. So thank you so much for all the subs, thank you for the views, thank you for the comments and everything. And I really hope I will see some of your clips. So if you have any nice clips, feel free to message me or leave a comment down below, like check out my video, and I will definitely check it and comment on it if you've gotten some sick aim in a few weeks. So let me know, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.